boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Day 95. Dear Lord, day 95. Day 95 of the 100 Days of Narration Challenge. And we are on Terry Pratchett Week. Terry Pratchett Week. We are on the last week. And today being Terry Pratchett Week, I've decided to read the 26th book? I can't remember. One of those books, anyway. Monstrous Regiment by Terry Pratchett. So that's what I'm going to read. Now, still kind of, it's insane to think that I've actually reached this point, but what the hell? Let's go ahead. Let's keep going. 5 more days after this one. 5 more days. Let's read the preverb, the preview, the proverb, the review, the thing that's on the back that has like the thing that's about the plot. Oh my god, I forgot that word. This is wonderful. Oh no, this is not going to be good reading. When I start forgetting words, things are going to be really terrible, but let's give it a shot anyway and see how we go with this. It began as a sudden strange fancy. Polly Perks had to become a boy in a hurry. Cutting off her hair and wearing trousers was easy. Learning to fart and belch in public and walk like an ape took more time. And now she's enlisted in the army and is searching for a lost brother. But there's a war on. There's always a war on. And Polly and her fellow recruits are suddenly in the thick of it, without any training, and the enemy is hunting them. All they have on their side is the most artful sergeant in the army, and a vampire with a lust for coffee. Well, they have a secret. They have the secret. And as they take the war to the heart of the enemy, they have to use all the resources of the Monstrous Regiment. Yes. So let's have a look. See, shall we? Oof, the text is tiny. It's small. This is tiny small text, tiny small text, tiny small text. Hopefully I can still read this. Okay. We'll start at page 271, which starts at a new section. Excellent. Oh crap, there's spoilers. Well, you have to expect spoilers anyway, because I'm reading from the middle of the book, so... Should I read from the middle of the book, or should I just read from the start? Maybe I'll read from the... let's do something different. Let's read from the start. I hardly ever do that. Do it sometimes, but not often. So let's read from the start, so it's a little bit less spoilerish. Polly cut her hair off. Wow. First sentence, already terrible. Polly cut off her hair in front of the mirror, feeling slightly guilty about not feeling very guilty about doing so. It was supposed to be her crowning glory, and everyone said it was beautiful, but she generally wore it in a net when she was working. She'd always told herself it was wasted on her, but she was careful to see that the long golden coils all landed on the small sheet spread out for the purpose. If she would admit to any strong emotion at all at this time, it was sheer annoyance that a haircut was all she needed to pass for a young man. She didn't even need to bind up her bosom, which she'd heard was the normal practice. Nature had seen to it that she had barely any problems in this area. The effect that the scissors had was erratic, but it was no worse than any other male. The effect that the scissors had was erratic, but it was no worse than other male haircuts here. It would do. She did feel cold on the back of her neck, but that was only partly because of the loss of her long hair. It was also because of the stare. The Duchess watched her from above the bed. It was a poor woodcut, hand-colored mostly in blue and red. It was of a plain, middle-aged woman whose sagging chin and slightly bulging eyes gave the cynical the feeling that someone had put a large fish in a dress, but the artist had managed to capture something extra in that strange, blank expression. Some pictures had eyes that followed you around the room. This one looked right through you. It was a face you found in every home. In Borogravia, you grew up with the Duchess watching you. Polly knew her parents had one of the pictures in their room, and knew also that when her mother was alive, she used to curtsy to it every night. She reached up and turned this picture around so that it faced the wall. A thought in her head said no. It was overruled. She'd made up her mind. Then she dressed herself in her brother's clothes, tipped the contents of the sheet into a small bag which went into the bottom of her pack, along with the spare clothes, put the note on her bed, picked up the pack, and climbed out the window. At least, Polly climbed out of the window. But it was Oliver's feet that landed lightly on the ground. Dawn was just turning the dark world into monochrome when she slipped across the inn's yard. The Duchess watched her from the inn sign too. Her father had been a great loyalist, at least up to the death of her mother. The sign hadn't been repainted this year, and a random bird dropping had already given the Duchess a squint. There's no already in there. Why am I putting words in there? God, I am tired. I'm putting random words in. The sign hadn't been repainted this year, and a random bird dropping had given the Duchess a squint. Polly checked that the recruiting surgeon's cart was still in front of the bar, its bright banners now drab and heavy with last night's rain. By the look of that big fat sergeant, it would be hours before it was on the road again. She had plenty of time. He looked like a slow breakfaster. She let herself out of the door, in the back wall, and headed uphill. At the top, she turned back and looked at the waking town. Smoke was rising from a few chimneys, but since Polly was always the first awake and had to yell the maids out of their beds, the inn was still sleeping. She knew that the widow Clambers. Wow, that's a name. She knew that widow Clambers had stayed overnight. It had been raining too hard for her to go home, according to Polly's father, and personally, she hoped for his sake that she'd stay every night. The town had no shortage of widows, and Ava Clambers was a warm-hearted lady who baked like a champion. His wife's long illness and Paul's long absence had taken a lot out of her father. Polly was glad some of it was being put back. The old ladies who spent their days glowering from their windows might spy and peeve and mumble, but they had been doing that for too long. No one listened anymore. She raised her gaze. Smoke and steam was already rising from the laundry of the girls' working school. It hung over one end of the town like a threat, big and gray, with tall, thin windows. It was always silent. When she was small, she'd been told that that was where the bad girls went. The nature of badness was not explained, and at the age of 5, Polly had received the vague idea that it consisted of not going to bed when you were told. At the age of 8, she'd learned it was where you were lucky not to go for bullying. Geesh. Let's try that again. At the age of 8, she'd learned it was where you were lucky not to go for buying your brother a paint box. She turned her back and set off between the trees, which were full of birdsong. Forget you were ever Polly. Think young male. That was the thing. Fart loudly and with self-satisfaction at a job well done. Move like a puppet that had a couple of strings. Damn it. Let's just take the whole paragraph from the top again. Forget you were ever Polly. Think young male, that was the thing. Fart loudly and with self-satisfaction at a job well done. Move like a puppet that had a couple of random strings cut. Never hug anyone. And if you meet a friend, punch them. A few years working in the bar had provided plenty of observational material. No problems about not swinging her hips, at least. Nature had been pretty sparing there, too. And then there was the young male walk to master. At least, women only swung their hips. Young men swung everything, from the shoulders down. You have to try to occupy a lot of space, she thought. It makes you look bigger, like a tomcat fluffing his tail. She'd seen it a lot in the inn. The boys tried to walk big in self-defense against all those other big boys out there. I'm bad, I'm fierce, I'm cool. I like a pint of shandy and me mom wants me home by 9. Let's see now. Arms out from the body as though holding a couple of bags of flour. Check. Shoulders swaying as though she was elbowing her way through a crowd. Check. Hands slightly bunched and making rhythmic circling motions as though turning 2 independent handles attached to the waist. Check. Legs moving forward loosely and ape-like. Check. It worked fine for a few yards until she got something wrong and the resultant muscular confusion somersaulted her into a holly bush. After that, she gave up. The thunderstorm came back as she hurried along the trail. Sometimes one would hang around the mountains for days, but at least up here, the path wasn't a river of mud, and the trees still had enough leaves to give her some protection. There was no time to wait out the weather anyway. She had a long way to go. The recruiting party would cross at the ferry, but Polly was known to all the ferrymen by sight, and the guard would want to see her But Polly was known to all the ferrymen by sight, and the guard would want to see her Oh, God. The recruiting party would cross at the ferry, but Polly was known to all the ferrymen by sight, and the guard would want to see her permit to travel, which Oliver Perks certainly didn't have. So that meant a long diversion all the way to the troll bridge at Tubbs. To the trolls, all humans looked alike, and any piece of paper would do as a permit, since they didn't read. Then she could walk down through the pine forest to Plun. The cart would have to stop there for the night, but the place was one of those nowhere villages that existed only in order to avoid the embarrassment of having a large empty space. The cart. Then she would walk down through the pine trees. Try that again. Then she would walk down through the pine forests up to Plun. The cart would have to stop there for the night, but the place was one of those nowhere villages that existed only to avoid the embarrassment of having large empty spaces on the map. No one knew her in Plun. No one ever went there. It was a dump. It was, in fact, just the place she needed. The recruiting party would stop there, and she could enlist. She was pretty certain the big fat sergeant and his greasy little corporal wouldn't notice the girl who served them last night. She was not, as they said, turn the page. She was not, as they said, conventionally beautiful. The corporal had tried to pinch her bottom, but probably out of habit, like swatting a fly, and there was not enough for a big pinch at that. The corporal had tried to pinch her bottom, but probably out of habit, like swatting a fly, and there was not enough for a big pinch at that. She sat on the hill above the ferry and had a late breakfast of cold potato and sausage while she watched the cart cross over. No one was marching behind it. No lads had been recruited back in months this time. People had kept away. Too many young men had left over the last 5 years. Last 5 years? Too many young men had left over the last few years. Few, not 5, few years, and not enough had come back. And of the ones who'd come back, sometimes not enough of each man had come back. The corporal could bang his big drum all he liked. Months was running out of sons, almost as fast as it accumulated widows. Damn, that's a rough one. I don't know why. Months was running out of months was running out of sons almost as fast as it accumulated widows. Yeah, it doesn't flow smoothly, but that'll go. That'll do. The afternoon... there we go, burping. The afternoon hung heavy and humid, and a yellow pine warbler followed her from bush to bush. Last night's mud was steaming when Polly reached the troll bridge, which crossed the river in a narrow gorge. Let's try that again. Last night's mud was steaming when Polly reached the troll bridge. Last night's mud was steaming when Polly reached the troll bridge, which crossed the river in a narrow gorge. It was a thin, graceful affair. Put together, it was said, with no mortar at all. And it was said that the weight of the bridge anchored it. And it was said that the weight of the bridge anchored it even more. Let's try saying that again. And it was said that the weight of the bridge anchored it even more deep. No. And it was said that the weight of the bridge anchored it ever more deeply into the rock on either side. Try that again. And it was said that the weight of the bridge anchored it even more. Ever, not even, ever. And it was said that the weight of the bridge anchored it ever more deeply into the rock on either side. It was said to be a wonder of the world, except that very few people around here ever wondered much about anything, and were barely aware of the world. It cost 1 penny to cross, or 100 gold pieces if you had a billy goat. And there's a little footnote here, billy goats, and the footnote says, trolls might not be quick thinkers, but they don't forget in a hurry either. Ha ha ha, yes. Reference to the billy goat and the troll story. God, do people even still know that story? The 3 billy goats who had to cross a bridge and there was a troll there? No, some people, no, I don't know anymore. Maybe they don't do that story anymore. Who knows? Halfway across, Polly peered over the parapet and saw the cart far, far below, working its way along the narrow road just above the white water. The afternoon's journey was downhill all the way, through dark pines on this side of the gorge. She didn't hurry, and towards sunset, she spotted the end. The cart had already arrived, but by the looks of it, the recruiting sergeant. Damn, this is a really bad day. The afternoon's journey was downhill all the way, through dark pines on this side of the gorge. She didn't hurry, and towards sunset, she spotted the inn. The cart had already arrived, but by the looks of it, the recruiting sergeant had not even bothered to make an effort. There was no drum banging like there had been last night. No cries of, roll up, my young shavers, it's a great life in the ins and outs. And, that's a good place to stop because that's the ending of this particular section. Okay. Yeah. Wow. I don't know what happened there. It's like every other second sentence I was stumbling across something. Really not great at all. No, not at all. Well, maybe tomorrow will be better. It has to pick up. I mean, I must have improved after all this time. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, that was day 95 out of 100. God, I can't believe it. 100 Days of Narration Challenge. This is Terry Pratchett Week, and that was Monstrous Regiment by Terry Pratchett. Tomorrow, another Terry Pratchett book. And, yeah, we're getting to the end of these, really. Quite quickly, actually. And then I will be in America, and I will be recording some of the 100 Days in America. That's madness. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. See yas. Hey, you seem like a cool, wonderful, and/or awesome individual with impeccable taste in voice actors. So why not follow me on Facebook or Twitter? You can keep up with the latest projects I'm in, or that my friends are in, or that you could be in, because I occasionally post links to open editions to various projects that require voice acting out there, or that nobody's in, but they're interesting projects nonetheless that you may also find interesting. Also, lots of random thoughts about whatever's on my mind at that particular moment. Usually it's about food or video games, or foodie video games. Anyway, you can follow me on Facebook at OmadonVA or Twitter at Omadon. Hope to see you there.